Welcome, Larry Fosson. It's all about the data. Our Volume 4 presenter from our Facts and Fiction Luncheon.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Larry Fosson. My friends call me Lord Larry. And that's because where I worked at previously, I had 100 employees, and I was promoted 5 times in 6 years. So I started out as a facilities landscape person and ended up being an assistant facilities director, overseeing one of the largest HOAs here in Nevada, Sun City Anthem. 7,144 homes, 120,000 square feet of residence, 140 acres of landscape, 800 valves, 70 controllers, and over 3,000 trees. So quite an endeavor. So I have a couple things to let everyone know. I did bring my NITRAC board book today. It'll be sitting over on that table, please. Most of you have not seen this. This is the actual data that we had to sit down and make our decisions with, why I sat on that board. And I'll tell you a few stories about that also. So when I was assigned and asked to be on the board, I was the only individual that was a landscaper, which I thought was kind of odd. So that day, my first day there, I actually went into the board, never made it past security. Because, as a landscaper, I carry these. It was a lethal weapon. Didn't almost make it into the meeting. I came directly from work. I didn't know what to expect. I was in my sweaty clothes, my work boots. And I sat next to a gentleman who was in a 3-piece suit, probably worth $3,000, who ran the MGM. My wife seen me on TV, and well, I never came undressed again. So as I said, I've been in this industry almost 6 decades. I will tell you that I feel I'm one of the most fortunate men in the world. I have 2 women in my life. The one I married for almost 40 years, and the one I worked for almost 60. And the reason why I'm lucky is because I've never had both of them mad at me at the same time. Ever. So we're going to get started. First, I'd like to see who's actually representing an HOA here. Okay. You guys all have RFPs that you put out for your landscape maintenance. Could one of you just voice how many pages in your average RFP that you mail out? Pardon? Management company does that. So in my studies, I've seen the average about 38 to 40 pages, some of them only a few pages. Sun City Anthems is 276 pages. And the reason being is for a contractor to bid your property, and I'm going to kind of expound on this, they need to know everything that's there. So at SCA, we have 276 parcels, these pieces of land that we own. During the pandemic, we sat with my assistant, we parcel mapped every single parcel. I know how many square foot is on it, I know if it's grass, I know if it's rock, I know the type of trees, I know the controller and all the valve locations. So when our contractors bid it, we got a very smooth RFP, and also we were able to budget those and look who was actually the best contractor. And one of the things to consider working with your property management companies, that is the goal that you should all have, so that your property, you know what you have and where it's at. And most of the HOAs have no idea. So SCA is kind of unusual because we are self-managed. And I say we, and they have to excuse me, I no longer work for them. I've only been with Excel about 9 days, so I'm still getting my feet on the ground with them. Yeah. To go back to what I was talking about, to do that RFP, that's what we had to do, and that gave us a wonderful way we could look at each one of our contractors and figure out who was the contractor that was qualified to do this job. But also gave them the opportunity to look at everything rather than try to drive around and see what's happening. As I said before, we have 162 townhomes, and I'll go further into that as we move forward, and I'll kind of show you what's happening. So this is a presentation I made in 2022 to our residents. We have 13,000 of them, and in 2016, our board decided that we would move forward in what we called Zeroscape. Panicked our residents completely because they thought we were going to turn it into a basic desert with a couple cactus. There was a ton of politics that went through it, and in 2018, I came on board, and I had my first 5,000 square foot removal. And that's how this whole thing got started. We are now, as a community, we only have maybe 6,000 or 7,000 square feet, and we have met all the SNWA's regulations, and we have been managed as a community to take full access to all the rebates that were available from Southern Nevada Water Authority. which makes us a little unusual. And as we all know as HOAs, and I've learned a lot about reserves and budgeting more than I actually want to talk about, but most of the HOAs here in town weren't expecting a mass exodus. In other words, we do repairs, we do upgrades, we do enhancement, but no, what do you mean we have to remove 90% of our grass? We don't have the reserves for that. And then what happens? Special assessments. And special assessments, management companies hate them. Residents panic, but that's what happened. And when I sat on that board, I told everybody in that meeting that you're going to cause some of our older residents, which in Sun City Anthem, we have 162 people that live in homes, probably 300 of them, that they're on Social Security or on a fixed income. And we actually, the number that Stacy showed, little 10,000, that we came up with a number a little more than that, maybe 10,500 bucks to remove the grasses. And from that. And this year it was finally instituted because we had to wait 2 years to collect the money from our residents. One of the good things that happened because of great planning on SCA's part and working heavily with SNWA, which I know a lot of us feel they're kind of be a little one way or the other, we were able to, third and fourth quarter assessments were wiped out. So we were actually complete these projects on time, on budget, and with the blessing of SNWA, and we were able to take place all the tree replacements we did, because unfortunately we did have to take some out. And when I do this East Lawn improvement, it'll actually show you what we had to do because there were a large number of trees that we could not save. So as we get started here, this is the East Lawn project, and this project actually, with the yellow outline, is about 53,000 square feet of grass, a little over 1.25 acres. Also, surrounding that is about another 40,000 square feet of plant material. We elected to change it all at one time. In other words, I had to take the grass out, but also the surrounding areas so that we could actually have a desert-type landscape, or as we call it, a tropical Las Vegas type. So why was the East Lawn considered non-functional? Well, it looks pretty there, doesn't it? Delway, when they built that, that was the centerpiece. No one realized it's about a 25% grade. The only time that grass was used was during snowfall, and our residents toboggan down there with their grandkids. To mow that, we actually had to have special mowers that had to have weights on them, because if not, they just slid off the slope and would tip over. So here's the shot of the East Lawn, and the next photograph is going to be graphic, so please everyone kind of bear with me, but you can see the massive amount of trees that were in there, and some of them Mondale pines, and all the other ones behind it were Raywood ashes, Modesto ashes, honey mesquites. All those trees were diseased, every single one of them. Ash decline is rampant through this neighborhood. Our developers over the years have done a disfavor to us because they planted material that 20 years ago was the cheapest, and also a lot of areas and HOAs don't have a tree budget, they don't have an arborist, they don't do the protection for their trees, and so this is the result of what happened. So the small grass area that you see in front says Anthem Center, that used to be all grass. So that was phase 2 of 13 phases that we undertook on this project. And that's what it looks like today. So, and you can see that slope, it was huge. And we had to do some extensive drainage issues. And once again, you know, you talked about how grass would slow down water and such. So there was considerable, we had to build a retaining wall and stair step it, and then plant some trees and lighting. Now, unfortunately, you can't see the other side, but there's our building that no one could see for years and years and years and years. But this was the project that we started. This is one of 13. We actually finished all 13, but this is actually where this project is at right now. And then, once again, as much as we worked over the years, we still have some small things we're correcting on this. The architect was out of California. Unfortunately, you know, where there's a lot of arguments with our board on what we needed to plant and not plant. And so there's some replanting being done on those slopes so that there's a little more color and such, so it does look a little better. This is the North Lawn. It's considered functional by the Southern Nevada Water Authority. Once again, this is an area that was on the backside of our building. It's about 2 acres, and we have probably 15 to 20 lawn events a year there. We have movie night, we have Day of the Dog. Thousands of people could be on this grass. And so we were able to save most of this. So what we had to do is areas up by the building I wanted to keep, so I negotiated with Southern Nevada Water Authority to remove some of this grass through here, so I met the 10-foot curb development part of it. Well, we were able to save 99% of that particular lawn because it has timed events on it every day almost, from weddings to, we just recently had the Henderson Police Department out there for the training of their dogs to show us what their police dogs would do to our residents, which was pretty interesting. So this is a quick map to show the existing trees we had to remove. One of the reasons why I said that most of them were diseased, about 70% of them, and they were in decline. The other one was because they were watered by grass. The roots were exposed. I had 40-foot sections around the trees, literally, where there's roots all over the place, and there's no way we could have saved those. And then the money to save them, they're already in slow decline, so we had to remove them. This is a construction legend that showed you that front where we built the retaining wall and some of the things we had to do to make that happen. There was extensive grading, once again, because our roof is 120,000 square feet of roof. There's thousands and thousands of gallons of water that come off the scuffers, so we had to make sure that water, as it came down, had a particular route to get through to the base to get to the storm drain, which is down on the road. One of the things that we did, this is in the front of our building, we needed to make our residents become part of us. We had to convince them that this was the right thing to do, because when you first seen it, it was all this wonderful plant material, but in reality, it was a high maintenance costs, high water costs, things like that. So we actually put a legend, and every one of those little things says Golden Barrel Cactus, Lantana New Gold. We actually made a little sign, which you'd see at a nursery, and nice metal that showed the plant material, and our residents could come out and go, wow, I like that plant, and what, I want to put it in my house. So we spent a number of years just showing our residents what we could do and what we were happening with and moving forward. And one thing that made SCA different was we have a nursery, and I say we, I'm no longer there, but sorry about that. And when I got caught with a nursery, I had about 300 blue agaves. And the board brought me up and said, what are you doing with agaves? I said, I'm making tequila, and we're going to name it SCA. And they laughed, but that particular nursery would generate $20,000 in plant material costs that we could use throughout our facility. So it made us a little different because we actually have a nursery that we grew cactus and some plant material that we could put to our native areas. So this is the really fun part, and I have to walk over here because I don't know how to use the pointer. This is an actual graph from the water department done wrong, because that's how the water department likes to show everything. So if you look here, you'll see 2010, 89 million, 92, 95, 93, 95, 106 in 2015, and in November of 2018, I started here. And Water Management 101 hit. And we went from 100 million to 71 million. We saved 29 million gallons of water, and we never took out one piece of grass. So, and you see the next year, another decrease of 2.5 million. So what I had to do to make this happen was the board didn't want smart controllers. I have 70 controllers, okay? 21 miles a day I had to drive. And every day I'm doing this ET form, which, I think you'll agree is, I had to kind of longhand it, and by the time I got a 4-foot long symbol, I said, oh yeah, turn the water down 5 minutes. Got it, okay. And I would drive 21 miles every day and change every single controller. And then after about 3 months, I saved 5 million gallons of water, and my board goes, oh, wow, you can have centrals now. So we installed a large portion of our material as centrals so that we were able to control them on a daily basis and use them in what we call smart mode. So you can see the dotted line that's dotted with the black, that's the actual water. And then you can see as we move forward for the various years, and it's all up there, this actually goes to 21, how we were able to start putting our water together so that the lines kept really close. You can see they're almost identical all the way through. The top green line was because of a water meter issue that the Southern Nevada Water Authority didn't get fixed, and we had to use that number. They did finally rebate that to us, and that graph actually goes down. But you can see here's December, November, and how this is all moving, and before how it was always spiked. And look, here in December, it was still way up there. And it shouldn't have been because that's one of our coldest months. This is what I see every day when I get on my controllers. It shows me the coldest part of the day in the blue line. The yellow line would be the hottest part. And then here's my graph. And this shows you, as you move through your thing, here's July, here's August. Oh, wait a minute, why is August down and July's high? Well, I've already dumped a lot of water to get through here, so in the middle of August, I start turning water down. I've already got the water in the ground. Now, this year's a little different in June and July. We're a little hotter, September, October, and it should be a nice, smooth graph. It shouldn't have a lot of spikes on it. Spikes means you're not actually paying attention to your water bills and what's happening. So this is one of our associations called Canyon Crest, and you can see 2018, look how that water was, and look in 2019, we started working through it. You can see how the water graph took it up to June, July, and August, and then dropped through, and look at December. Went right through. Here's another one. This is Clubhouse. These are our 4 villas that are all grass. And once again, limited comment area. Most of you know about that. What a horrible curse that is. And this shows you kind of how the graph went. And then we have another one. This is High Mesa. Same type thing, where the graph goes down because we started learning how to manage water as we work through this. This is Mountain View. Same thing, how the graphs look. And look what happened in 2018. In December, it's still going up. This is Mountain View again, but actually it's Pinnacle, a small community on the bottom. You can see how their water was horrible. They were going through hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. And they have grass. And we just now recently removed that because it was out front and it was considered non-functional. This is the common area. You can see how the dotted line is actually how it was monitored and looked at, as you can see before. And we had about 4.5 acres of grass in our common area. This is where it gets to be a little fun. So, each one of these shows neighborhoods. In 2018, I went through 38 million gallons of water. I get all the way down here to the green, which is 2023. I saved 18 million gallons of water. We didn't take any grass out. And over the last 4 to 5 years, this is how much water the villas have saved, 74 million gallons of water. Common area, 106,000. 17,000 for facilities. In almost just under 6 years, we saved almost 200 million gallons of water. So this year was the first time that we've done, a lot of grass removal in the villas. If you took that 200 million gallons of water and you put it in a football field, you'd have 600 feet of water above you. And you wouldn't even survive the physical weight of it behind it. Or if you take it on my 140 acres, everywhere you'd see here, 140 acres, you'd have 4 foot of water. You guys would all be sitting with water up to here. That's kind of an impressive amount of water to save and do it in a water management way rather than just rip everything out. Unfortunately, we did negotiate with Southern Nevada Water Authority, and we're able to keep about 50% of our grass. Our residents got to keep the backs, and we got to keep some of our larger areas and a few of our, I would call it, dog areas that we don't call dog areas. To allow residents to have that part of it. I think that's probably pretty much it. I'll have to go back. But I do want to say one thing to everyone so you get a feel for it. Smart controllers are not smart. They are not smart people. You have to program them. You have to know your soil type, sprinkler type, plant type, soil type, the little biospheres that are around. And what happens is you're going to buy this smart controller and your vendor is going to come and put all that information in, but you can't just, it's like your car. You have to maintain it. You have to put tires on it, oil changes, gas, clean the windows. If you don't look at your controllers on a daily basis and monitor them, you're going to find yourself going, I just spent 20 grand and my water bill is even higher. And so water rates are going up. I saved 8.5 million gallons of water at SCA last year, less than the year before, and my water bill was 10 grand more because the rates keep changing, and it's very hard for us to keep that curve. But one of the things I'd like to point out is that water management is a tool. It's not perfect. I look at my water controllers every single day. I look out 2 weeks ahead for weather. And unfortunately, even though we try to keep them on smart mode, when it gets this hot, these controllers can't react fast enough because the data coming in is at midnight. Well, the next day here in the desert, it could be 100 degrees, and the next day it could be 20 degrees. But so during the winter, summer months, I take them off smart mode and put them on Larry mode, just because I can work through them that way for those 3 or 4 months. But that's kind of what we've accomplished, and I even though I said on the NITRAC board, I still think that this should have been considered, because we lowered our water usage, not the bill, I keep telling everybody, by 62%, which comes with your data really close. And I was shocked because I have no one to talk to. I live in a little bubble up there, and I had a laboratory rat that I could play with, and it was a lot of fun to make this actually happen. But you need a proper water manager. You need a proper plant person to walk through your facilities and come up with a program. And it should be a partner. I just want to make one last little thing. When I set our vendor down and said, guess what? We're going to control the water. SCA doesn't let our contractor touch the water at all. They work as a partner with them, not us. I keep saying us because I think I work there. And our contractor ran away. He said, I'm not doing that. And it took 3 months for him to come back to us, and we're still doing it. And I told him, listen, if you let me do this, I will promise you will have centrals. And we did get centrals in 3 months. I promise you that the effective use and the ability of your crew, I'll make your company 11% profitable. Their company was 14% profitable. So we work as a team, and constantly changing contractors, and we're going that. You're back to square one again because none of you have the data. And the data is important so that you can continue working through this. So remember that, this guy's 20 grand higher. Well, maybe there's a reason why that company is. And everybody tracks the low bid. And I'm telling you, low bid is not the way to go. At SCA, I wouldn't do that. I researched that contractor. I looked what they were doing. I didn't take just a price, because that price could be low and it could cost me and cost our association. So take those things into consideration. But once again, this is what we were able to accomplish. I may not agree everything with Southern Nevada Water Authority does, but I think they could have approached this a little differently. I love grass, and it's one of my favorite things to roll around in and have fun with. So once again, I thank you all.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you for joining us. We hope that you found this informational, educational, and inspirational. And if you did, please consider joining us, registering for our organization, and making a contribution so that we may further educate and expand this knowledge throughout the community. It is an important effort. We want to preserve our quality of life here in Southern Nevada. We are a growing community, but we need to grow smartly, and growth needs to pay for itself. Please consider a donation to the Water Fairness Coalition. Thank you for your time and your attention.